Happy Friday, folks. And today's topic is clarity, adding more clarity to what your career path is so that you can really feel connected with your mission and with your purpose. And so it's about upgrading your career when you really have no idea what that might even look like. So that's what I'm going to get to in just a minute. I do want to first talk about what I mean by adding $3,000 a month or more to your bank account. Because if you notice below, I have the title that I made for today's talk. For today's show is how to upgrade your tech career and add 3,000 a month or more, 3,000 plus a month or more to your bank account, even if you feel like you have no purpose and no mission. We'll get to the no purpose and no mission, but I want to explain what I mean by the 3,000 or more to your bank account. So we have, and I'm going to shift to it now. So if you see anything shining in my glasses, that's what you're seeing is my nifty spreadsheet. And so essentially where this 3,000 or more to your bank account is coming from is Rob and I have made this nifty spreadsheet where we essentially calculate what your current salary and what your target salary is, and then how much you're making after taxes at your current salary, weekly, biweekly, monthly, and then how much you'd be making at your target salary, weekly, biweekly, monthly. So the 3,000 came from the fact that on average, most of our clients come in at around 150 a year, at around 150,000 a year, and their target is right around 200 a year. So another 50 more per year, 50,000 more per year before taxes. But then and for taxes, by the way, we assumed 30%, so we basically took 30% off. So 150 annual after taxes is 105. In monthly, that's around 87.50, $8 grand a month. At 200 a year after taxes, that's about 140 a year. Monthly, that's around 11 grand. 8 grand to 11 grand. That's another $3,000 a month after taxes that is landing in your bank account, assuming a 30% taxes. And we think that's a fairly conservative estimate. That's around what you're going to be getting. If you go to from 150 to 200 a year, you're going to be putting another 3,000 a month in your checking account, in your bank account. So I encourage you, I challenge you, I dare you to dream, like in a good way. What are you going to do with that extra 3 grand? Yep, you're going to save some of it. Maybe you'll invest some of it. Maybe you'll pay off debt. But then what? That 3 grand's coming every month. Then what? Right? You're going to save some of it, yeah, and some of it's going to be invested, and then your debt will be paid off. Maybe it'll take some of you 6 months, some of you a year to pay off that debt. Then what? What are you going to do with it? And it's not just going to be that extra 3 grand, because you're going to be getting extra bonuses as well. You're going to get more bonuses. You're going to get more influxes of money, because once you really go on this path toward career transformation, that you add value and the value comes to you and you find it in your life. So that's my weekend homework assignment to all of you. What would you do? What are you going to do with an extra $3,000 a month every month for the rest of your life? Now let's get to the piece about having no purpose and having no mission. So sometimes folks come to us and say, yeah, I have a really clear goal in my career. I want to be VP in the next year. I want to be CTO or CIO in the next 3 years. Right? I want to land a job where I am a technical product manager, where I am a program manager, where I am a senior software engineering manager, or something similar to that. Or at least I want to land a job where I want to get a promotion where I am leading technical teams, and I want to be a lead of leads at some points, and I want to have the strategic vision, I want to have the influence, I want to have a seat at the table. So a lot of people come to us with either a lot of specificity, which is great, or at least some amount of specificity. But some people come to us and say, I just don't know. Like I can't articulate it because I don't know what's next for me. And that can be, I've been there. And this was in between my life as an academic and what became my life as PeopleStack CEO and career coach for technical managers. There was an in-between period there of around a year or so where it was like, I don't know what's next. I want something cool to be next. I just don't know what it is. And we can come to these points in our lives for a lot of different reasons. For me, it was because of the intentional choice to leave academia and to move on. So it was sort of self-created in that way. But for some people, it's because maybe you get fired, or maybe you do decide to quit a job because it was toxic. Or maybe it's other life circumstances. Maybe a spouse, a husband, a wife, a partner decides on the next step in their career, and you go with them. So you move. Maybe you move across the country, you move to another state, and it's like a new opportunity. It's like an opportunity for career 2.0, or 3.0, or whatever version of your career that you're on. But it can be scary because what's next? And when you don't know what's next, when you don't have that North Star to guide you, it can be extremely disorienting. For no matter what your personality type, no matter what your preference for chaos versus order is in your life, chaos monkeys out there, I hear you, I see you, right? You thrive on that. You thrive on spontaneity. But even for people like that, I'm married to one, it can be very disorienting to not know, at least have some sense of this is my goal, this is my purpose, and to have that sense of like, I don't, like it can almost become an identity crisis because it's like, I don't know who I am anymore. Like I was someone before because I was working. Maybe I wasn't working in the best job, and maybe I didn't really feel like I was serving my purpose, but at least I was doing something. But now I feel like I'm not really doing anything anymore. And maybe you're still at work. Sometimes that's what happens too. You're still working. Like it's not like getting fired or quitting or, some other transition where you're out of work, but it's like you're in work, but you don't feel like you're there. You're not engaged. You're not motivated. It's just like punch in, punch out, punch in, punch out, work, sleep, eat, repeat. And it may not be like you're stressed out and overwhelmed. It's almost like the opposite, where you're just kind of going through the motions. You almost might feel like a robot or a zombie some days. You're just going through the daily grind. And that's what I actually started to feel when I was an academic. And I heard other people who were ahead of me, who were 10, 15 years ahead of me, saying those things like, yep, another day of the daily grind, Jen, like coming back on Monday, like, how was your weekend? Oh, it was so great. When people would talk about, oh, it was so nice to escape. And it was so nice to, not have to think about work and to not be in the daily grind, but we're back at the daily grind again. It's Monday. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. Seth Godin has a quote, something like, let me see if I can find it, about vacations and escaping. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. Instead of wondering where your next vacation is, maybe you should set up a life you don't need to escape from. And that's what I felt when people were like, hey, I get to go on vacation. I get to escape from this life. But now it's back to the daily grind where you feel like you're in prison to a certain extent. Because if you're feeling like you need to escape from it, doesn't that mean at least a little bit like you feel like you're shackled? Like you need to escape from it? And then, every weekend or when you go on vacations that you feel like you need to escape from it. So sometimes that's what it can feel like, that you are living in this self-imposed prison behind bars. And then you come to this realization that like, I don't need to feel like this anymore. I hear about people who are living a life of purpose, who don't just have a job, but a career and a mission. I think I want that too. Sometimes that's where that comes from. But then you're like, I think I want that too. But is that even possible? Is it really possible to transform my career so that I really feel connected, so that I don't actually feel like I'm working? Like, have a job that brings you joy. You never have to work a day in your life. Can I do that? Is that actually possible? And so you start trying to figure that out. Okay, where do I want to go? What would it be? And you have no idea. And like I said, it can be extremely disorienting. And you come to the realization that, wow, I kind of have two choices here. I can stay on the path that I have been on, which is, work, eat, sleep, repeat, kind of just settling in this self-imposed prison. And I could do that. A lot of other people have chosen to do that. And I'd be okay. I'd cope. I'm super smart. I know how to deal with way worse than this. I could do that. But why would I? Because the other path means really just kind of breaking through and going into the unknown and saying, okay, I'm gonna finally figure out what I want to do when I grow up, even though it's going to be scary, even though I know that there are going to be challenges ahead of me. But I want that because I don't want to live this life of lack of purpose anymore. I want to feel like I have this purpose. I want to jump out of bed in the morning, excited, engaged, wanting to go to work and not dreading it. And I'm here to tell you that it's absolutely possible, because I'm living it, or at least, the humble part of me wants to say that, like, we're all on this path together, right? We're all on this path to transformation together. We're all evolving together. So, right, I'm not by any way suggesting that, like, I'm completely enlightened and I'm on the other side and come with me. Like, I'm on the path too, maybe further ahead than some others, which is why I feel honored and privileged to, show people the way, because I might be a little bit or a lot bit ahead of people who, are our clients or friends or family members. But we're all on this path together, and we've all chosen it intentionally. We won't settle for mediocre. We won't settle for that lack of clarity. I was talking with a potential client the other day, and he was talking about, like, sometimes what it feels like too is like there's so many options, right? And that can feel similar too, where it's like, okay, I don't know what I want to do. And maybe one reason why you have that lack of clarity is like, oh my God, there's so many things that I can do, like so many options. And you're like, you're juggling. And he said, yeah, so it almost feels like the way that I have been approaching my career is I've been juggling all of these balls, all of these potential things that I could do that could be my purpose. And I've just been waiting for the wind to blow one of them. And waiting for the wind to blow one of them so that one of the ball drops. And then, okay, these are the ones that are left. And these are my choices now. And just waiting for the wind to decide what's the one thing that I focus on, what's my purpose. And that was a bit of an aha moment for him, because it's like, wow, I don't want external circumstances. I don't want other people to dictate. I don't want the wind to dictate what I do in my career. But that's kind of how I've been approaching it up until this point. So if you're juggling a bunch of balls, choose the one. Which one is it? What do you want to do? Do you want to go the individual contributor path and be a leader there? Be the next super awesome software engineer who comes up with, the next GitHub or the next whatever it is. Do you want to be that person? Do you want to be the awesome engineering manager, engineering director, VP of engineering, who sets the, or even, possibly even CTO or in that around there, who sets the strategic vision for technology and engineering within an organization? Do you want to be the awesome product person, the product leader who changes the way that we think about product in this world? and do you want to set the vision for that? Do you want to maybe start your own company one day, your own tech company that melds your passions for tech and whatever else it might be? Is that what you want to do, right? You want to be your own boss and you have that entrepreneurial bug. Maybe that's what it is. But you got to choose. You can't do them all. Because if you try to do them all, you're not doing any of them. And so you get to this point where you realize, okay, if I don't get this clarity, if I don't intentionally choose what's next and figure that out, then life is going to choose for me, and that's not what I want. So the good news, there's lots of good news here, even though, like I said, it can feel very disoriented and very disorienting and very identity crisis-like to feel so stuck, like I can't answer what's next. I can't answer a simple question, what's next in my career? It's a really sucky feeling. But the good news is that there's a way out. That at the People Stack, we have very proudly grown a group of, a tribe, a group of folks who are absolutely committed to being at the top of their game, technical leadership wise. And through our guidance, through the guidance of me, through the guidance of Rob, we have helped them to find that clarity and be on that path together toward career transformation. And if you want to be a member of that tribe with us, then the first step is to book a call and chat. And that link is thepeoplestack.com/book/BOOK, like Facebook, but not Facebook, book, thepeoplestack.com/book. So book a call with us. And we're going to talk about where you are in terms of this lack of clarity. In other words, if that's what you're coming to us with, right? Like, what options are you considering? Is it that you have a bunch of balls in the air and can't decide? Or is it that you kind of sort of know what you want and can't articulate it? Or is it that you're just thinking about doing two completely divergent things that you're not really even sure how to go about deciding and how to figure that out? So we'll talk about that. And sometimes, and this is the case, it ends up not being a fit to work together. Not because we don't love you, not because we don't want to help you, but because the help that you need doesn't align with the help that we can give. So I'll give you an example. This was a number of years ago, but it still stands out in my mind as one of those prototypical examples of lack of clarity, having a conversation with us, breakthrough moment, oh wow. And then it was like, oh wow, I'd love to be able to help you do that, but I can't, and sent him to somebody else in other resources. So this was a case where there was a guy who was an IT manager kind of a position. And we were talking about, okay, what's next in your career? What do you want to do? And he's like, oh, I guess maybe like a VP of IT kind of a position, maybe CIO someday, and kind of talking about it a little bit, and how he's really feeling stuck and just, can't decide. But I heard it in his voice. It was like, you don't really sound excited about that. You don't really sound excited, like genuinely full of joy at the prospect of being CIO or a VP of IT one day. He's like, yeah, you're right. Because it seems like that's what I'm supposed to do, right? If I'm director now, isn't that what's next? I said, okay, but don't, just because that's what you should do, I don't want you to shit all over yourself. What do you want to do? And we really opened up the conversations from there. And he started talking about his art. And he actually, he gave me his website, and I looked at his art website. And I was like, wow, this is some great art. This is awesome. And I heard him through the phone lines lighting up. like, yeah, like this is like, I kind of love my art. Like I love doing this. Like I find like, even though I'm already working a more than full-time job, I am more than happy to like stay up all night, work weekends and whatever to work on my art. I was like, it's like, but I'm just not sure if I'm good enough. You know, some of those typical things, you know, especially when you're in a field where it's very hard to figure out whether or not it's good or not. Like art is subjective, right? But yeah, he was really starting to open up and realize that, yeah, I've tried to sell some of my art, and I have, but I know I'm worth more. I just, you know, I can't really figure out how to make a business out of this. And we talked a little bit more, and it was like, that's really what you want to do, isn't it? You know, it was like, let me know if I'm picking this up right. He's like, yeah, you're right. Like, I want to be an artist. I want to make a name for myself as an artist, and I want to get paid for the art that I do. And it was like, yay! I can't help you. I wish I could. But then sent him off on the way and gave him some resources and connected him with some folks. But like, that's what happens sometimes when we have these conversations. But a lot of times we have the conversations, it's like, yeah, I really can't decide, or I want to be in tech and I'm not sure. And then these are the cases where we can help. And we map out a plan for you to help you get that clarity, and what it's going to take for you to get that clarity. And then if you want our expert help, if you want our expert guidance to be there for you, to have that accountability, to know that we're in your corner along the way, then, and if we're 100% confident that we can give you that help and support and guidance and structures and systems, then we're going to talk about what that looks like. We're going to talk about all those details, and then you can decide which way you want to go. But that's what it is, what it's about, folks. If you're feeling like you have this lack of clarity, this lack of a North Star, you're extremely disoriented, you can't decide what's next, then book a call with us and we'll help. We are here to help. This is what we do. thepeoplestack.com/book. So we look forward to talking with you soon. And on next Wednesday, I'm going to talk about why doing more research is a terrible way to upgrade your tech career and what to do instead, so you can finally command those premium salaries of at least $200K a year as a technical manager. So I'm going to talk about research. And for those of you who've been following me for a while, you know that in my former life, I was a researcher. I was an academic. My life, like 15 plus years of my life, it was like doing research as my job day in and day out. But I'm going to explain why, even for me, I love doing research, why I believe that doing more research is an absolutely terrible way to get unstuck in your career, and that there's definitely a better way to move forward. So we'll talk about that on Wednesday. Have a lovely June weekend, everyone, and we'll talk to you next week.